Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden and welcome to my April backyard garden tour. I was hoping to film right in a sweet spot where I had two things that are magnificent bloomers showing off at once. So first of all is my azalea bush. Now the azaleas are just slightly past their prime to the point that some of the flower blooms are actually beginning to fade out now. But it was between the azaleas and my awesome wisteria vine. The wisteria is like just about to be at its prime, so again, we're just right in the middle of both of those things really happening that are outstanding. April is a super busy time in the garden between what is coming up out of the ground and also the amount of work that we're doing as gardeners between weeding, edging, mulching, all sorts of cleaning up, planting, and all of that. So I feel like for the April garden tour, I do have a lot to show you. We're gonna start on this side of my yard with the wisteria, and this area has actually been edged and mulched at this point, whereas most of the rest of the backyard has not been just yet. If you've been with me for a little while now, you know that my yard is largely full sun. I do not have a lot of mature trees on my property at all, and that is something that I've been trying to remedy. Right beside me here, we built a brand new fence line. Well, when that fence was built, it enabled us to have a part shade garden right here alongside of that. So closest to the fence line, I have two Hudson Bay hostas that I've transplanted from other parts of my yard. Right here I have English daisies. A couple of items that are standout feature plants here. So I have the cherry truffles heuchera, which I just love because it's evergreen. It gives me gorgeous color. And then of course the little flowers on top of it are just like icing on a great cake. And then I have my Yuletide camellia in the back. It has iridescent leaves. It is a winter bloomer and it is also evergreen in my area. In the back there, I did just transplant a hydrangea. It was something I had propagated from a larger plant, so it looks a little wimpy right now just because it's a new transplant, but that baby's gonna be just fine. And over just from the part shade area, I have so many gorgeous things that are just among my favorite in the garden. The wisteria is definitely one of them. This is the Amethyst Falls Wisteria. It is not known to be an invasive variety, and I have not had problems with it just like exploding all over and being monstrous. It blooms for me in mid-April. I am in zone 8B on the southeast coast of North Carolina in a place called Wilmington. I have some gorgeous dianthus. Now I am doing a spotlight video on dianthus because it is amazing, beautiful, and has so many varieties to it. Varieties, yes, is true, but variations was what I was looking for there. And then right in front of it, I tried to find out what kind of sedum it is because it's a beautiful ground cover and keeps growing and growing and growing. I've divided it up and transplanted it to a bunch of spots. The closest thing that I could find was maybe a cascade stone crop. So I'm not sure what it is, but it's evergreen and it looks very pretty as a ground cover. Hanging out in the back there, the pink and the red, those are two other varieties of dianthus that are not currently in the ground, and they are going to be part of that spotlight video that I was telling you about. I do really want to be mindful of the bees over here because the wisteria is an amazing pollinator attractor and I can hear them buzzing around me, so hopefully I don't scare them and they don't need to scare me. Right here I have a sunny border blue speedwell, so it is leafing out amazingly. This plant is only 1 year old, so the size of it I love. Back here I do have a little rose bush. I have an Asiatic lily just beginning to pop up through my rocks right here. It measured at 32 inches last year. I haven't taken my tape measure to it yet, but it is so awesome because it grows right up way taller than the rocks that I have here. Right here, I have some green euonymus, and it's nice because it gets those little feelers on it so it can actually creep up a rock like you can see that's happening right here. I would just like to point out that in coastal North Carolina where where I am, rocks are not plentiful. I do not dig in my ground and hit rock like I know some people do. I have had to cart all of these rocks in from other places. It is one of my most favorite things to do. I don't just go purchase them somewhere, which costs a fortune here, but I do get them from other people that live in other places that allow me to do that. So they are just one of my most precious and favorite things in my garden. Here's dianthus again, and again, it's sitting here for a different video. Right in front of me is the beginning of the blanket flower. The blanket flower becomes a prolific bloomer in my garden. It self-seeds absolutely everywhere, and this area I expect to get quite full, maybe even the next time you see a video of my backyard. As we continue to showcase what I like to call my rock garden, you'll notice that I have a dahlia right here that is sprouting up. I have it labeled as pink dahlia because it was just something that I bought from a nursery that didn't have a specific name tag on it except for that. Dahlias are not always perennial in my area. I'm right on the line of where they will be perennial. So of course I was thrilled to see it popping out of the ground there. Of course I have my creeping moss phlox in pink. That has been with me for a number of years, so I can divide that perennial up, put it in other parts of my yard, but the cascading feature of it is something I adore, as well as it being such a magnificent ground cover. Right here in front of me, I have the Lanai Twister Pink Verbena. This was a new plant for me. I was expecting to put it somewhere else in the yard, but I decided here because I was interested in getting a little more flower color. This particular verbena has a spreading habit, and I wanted something to fill in this mulch area in front of this big rock here, because this rock, now that it's in place, can never move again, ever. In the back, that beautiful yellow that you see is the sunshine ligustrum, which is an evergreen shrub, and I love it. Later in the season, this flower bed gets a lot more yellow as I have a bunch of black-eyed Susans that will be in full force by the ligustrum, but for now, that one takes the spotlight of the back. Please tell me that you can see my red coneflower right here. This coneflower is the first one to be blooming for me so far this year. I love that so much because coneflowers are among one of my most favorite kinds of flowers. This is typically a summer bloomer, so it coming early is like just one of those special little treats. But look at all these extra little blossoms that I have. This is budding up so nicely, so plentifully. I just feel really super joyed about it. Just tucked in kind of at my feet here, this is some of the black-eyed Susans that is leafing out, and like I said, it's going to be all over this whole area. Stepping back a bit more, directly in front of the Hudson Bay Hosta, I have 3 small dianthus. They came in a variety pack, so I put 3 there, and I have to decide where the rest of the dianthus is going. Dianthus, though, for me is going to be a perennial, so I look forward to just seeing how much larger those get there. Of course, much more phlox. And then to this side of me, directly behind me, I have a mum that's probably pretty hard to see. It looks amazing right now. When the brutal heat of the summer comes, we'll see what happens. And then here I have lots of Shasta daisies. The Shasta daisies right now are just green clumps of leaves with one singular daisy putting on its show. Right here to my left, I have some peonies popping back up. Every single time a peony pops back up in my yard, I get overjoyed. I'm just hoping that it does have a flower on it again, and then you know I'm going to show you that because I will be super proud of it. So to the opposite side of my rock garden from where we started, I do have a second wisteria bush. They were planted at exactly the same time. I think it was 5 years ago now. This one has never thrived as much as the other side. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning is for that. I still have lots of blossoms on it. It is beginning to bloom. It seems like it's almost just a little bit later than the one on that side. Not sure. But at the feet of this wisteria, I do have purple balloon flowers that are leafing out for me there. I have an autumn joy sedum that is right here. And then I have more of that cascading sedum, if you will, right here. Again, it's beginning to crawl up the rock a little bit now and certainly spreading out along the sides. So I love it. I have a whole bunch of daylilies mixed in with some bearded iris. But then behind me, that's where so much work has really been done. I'm looking forward to showing you. I am super blessed to be able to have my own greenhouse. It was a dream of mine to make it happen, and we've done it. So this has been 2 full years that I've had the greenhouse, that it's helped me to overwinter so many of my tropical babies. I'm just thrilled about it. Very recently, I was able to redo or beautify the entryway to the greenhouse. So from the yard walking forward, it didn't just have to be grass that I had matted down because I was carrying all my plants into it or out of it or whatever it may be. So along this side of me, I have my green arborvitae, emerald green arborvitae, not the green giant. So we'll kind of get into the poolside gardens in just a moment. But for now, let me show you how things are looking as we go to my greenhouse. I did recently put out a video showing the process of how I transformed this area and entryway, and I also showed you what plants I have here, what I'm taking out of the greenhouse, what has been in my greenhouse, etc. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time going back over each of these plants. You can check out that video if you're interested. So this is the greenhouse area, and now we're going to walk around by the poolside gardens and show you what's happening or isn't happening there. So the area here with the pool behind me, but this area is what's facing the walkway to the greenhouse. I have some canna lilies here. I have this red variegated variety that isn't looking too vibrant right now, but let's face it, we only just consistently started staying above 40 degrees, so I didn't really expect them to be thriving yet at this point. We'll get much more into canna lilies as the season progresses, and then you can really see how gorgeous these plants are. I have banana trees to my side, and I also have a perennial hibiscus to my side over there. Once again, this is such a tropical area that we're not seeing tremendous growth right now, but we are seeing budding on the perennial hibiscus, as well as the banana trees beginning to leaf out. Their leaves look a little raggedy now. Shh, don't tell them. So now that we're going to stay consistently warm, the banana trees are going to really flourish. So the next part of the garden tour here is coming alongside the greenhouse, and I have a little pathway that is meant to take us behind the pool. So far, I'm only in the earliest stages of any kind of transformation back there because, quite frankly, it's a lot of work to do everything. I have to admit that looking at this area as of right now, it looks like I have nothing going on around here. No plants, nothing. But it's going to look very, very different come summertime. This area just starts a little later because I have tropical plants in here. I have tons of canna lilies. These canna lilies get to be 8 or so feet tall that are right here. This sod has been cut up. This entire area is going to have all the grass taken up. It is mainly on this side where I'll be adding in my brand new flower bed with simply a pathway going down the middle. So just heading in this direction a little bit more, you can see I have awesome variegated cannas coming up in front of me here as well. Once again, these guys are going to look spectacular. Right here is a perennial hardy hibiscus. This one is starting to bud out at the bottom, so it's a thrilling sign to see that happening. This is my oleander tree that I had been afraid of it potentially being lost to the winter temperatures. I have new growth happening on my oleander, and then that gets the pink flowers on it. So I'm gonna have so much color and beauty right over here. And then actually beside me this way, I have a blanket flower that completely survived the winter. And the humor of it is it grew up between the cracks of some stepping stones, so it was never even intentionally planted there from the start. Now back to the gorgeous azaleas where we started off. So this flower bed is directly across the yard from the flower bed with the wisteria and all that phlox in my rock garden. So we start this side off with a beautiful hosta. I have some cordyline. This particular cordyline does stay perennial for me, so it is just the plain red leaves as compared to the fuchsia and pink leaves that I have to overwinter in the greenhouse. And of course, the gorgeous azaleas. Azaleas are so fabulous in this area of Wilmington, North Carolina, that there's actually a festival dedicated to them, and the festival was just this past weekend. So these are going to be gorgeous red daylilies. This is the type of perennial that is my absolute favorite thing. They're the type of thing that grows so much that you get to divide it, share it, or move it to other parts of your yard. Then last year I decided I wanted to get a yellow Asiatic lily. This one is called Tiny Nugget Asiatic Lily, and it's yellow. So I purposely picked the yellow just so it was something different over here next to all of this red. This little gorgeous cutie, oh my gosh, this silver mound, it feels just light and wonderful to run your hand over. I had gotten this to pair with these purple asters, which, by the way, the purple asters, which you think of asters and mums both as fall plants and fall blooming flowers, it has buds and some opened up flowers already. So the aster and the silver mound together with the purple and the silver, I just love, and I have the same exact pairing on the other side of these rocks. This is a crepe myrtle tree. This crepe myrtle in particular was actually given to me by a friend. It was a baby that one of her crepe myrtles had made, and who's going to turn down a free crepe myrtle? To the back of the creeping phlox here, that's where I have another red cordyline. Here's one of my favorite areas of lilies. I have the stargazers. Stargazer is my favorite lily. I love the way it smells. I love the way it looks. I love every single thing about it. This is the tiger lily. The tiger lily I find to be so unusual. The blooms almost appear to go upside down. It's just not, I feel like, a typical idea of what you think of when you think of a lily. I have the gorgeous and vibrant fuchsia dianthus. This one in particular is a ground cover, so it has a spreading habit in that way. This is one of the dipladenia that was overwintering in my greenhouse. It just was a section I was able to divide up. I think I'm going to get another yellow one from the store and put that in this pot as well. And then over to this side, I actually took some pieces of wisteria rooted from the other side of the yard and put them here. I'm feeling extremely confident that this one is going to do well and give me some much needed height and privacy on this side of the yard. I have a feeling that these guys in front of me, which are a type of perennial hibiscus, are going to be among my new favorite flowers this year. This is the Texas Red or Texas Star Red hibiscus, something like that. First time I ever owned it, I planted these in the fall, and you can see how much growth they have. So this section of the backyard doesn't have a ton of color right now, but that is going to change. Down here, I have a whole clump of the stargazer lilies. I separated that from my parent plant that I had just showed you. Of course, I have some seashells. Of course, I have some starfish, more things that I just like to add to the area since I do live on the coast. Once again, dianthus. So you'll have to check out my dianthus video, An Amazing Beauty. Lots of color is going to be happening right here. We're going to conclude our April garden tour of the backyard right in this area where I have a beautiful hydrangea that is going to be blooming blue, as well as all these little tiny sprouts of evening primrose, which are all going to be sprouting yellow. Enjoy spring, enjoy being in your gardens, and happy planting.